Somewhere in the Taittiriya Upanishad, nested inside the Kṛṣṇa Yajurveda, like a jewel inside a locked room inside a locked room, there is an image that the text itself offers. A human figure, luminous, and inside that figure, another luminous figure, and inside that one another, and another, and another, each more interior, each more radiant, until the innermost figure is no longer a figure at all, but something the text can only call ananda, bliss. This image is not decorative. It is the argument. The teaching is called Panchakosha, the doctrine of 5 sheaths, and the Taittiriya Upanishad is its primary home in all of Vedic literature. The word kosha in IAST means sheath or scabbard, the way a blade fits inside its casing. It also means treasury, a container of something precious. Both meanings are active here. Each layer sheathes the one within it. Each layer also conceals. The Anandavali, the second of the 3 chapters, opens with what the tradition calls a Mahavakya, a great saying. Brahmavid apnoti param, the knower of Brahman attains the supreme. The verse continues immediately with a definition. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.1.1 declares, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is truth, knowledge, infinite. 3 words placed beside each other without copula, without the verb is, because in Sanskrit the absence of that verb is itself a statement. These are not descriptions added to a prior object. They are the thing itself. Shankaracharya, whose commentary on this Upanishad is traditionally considered the first he ever wrote, because he himself belonged to the Taittiriya lineage, reads these 3 terms as non-relational identifications. Brahman is not merely characterized by truth, it is truth as such, undivided. Ramanujacharya, writing from the Vishishtadvaita school, disagrees. For Ramanuja, Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam are attributes of a Lord who possesses them, not equations. This dispute between Advaita and Vishishtadvaita is not resolved in the text, and the text perhaps does not intend it to be resolved. What matters for our purposes is that the Upanishad begins at the summit and then asks, how do you get there? The answer it gives is a map of what is in the way. The cosmological prelude traces the emanation. From Brahman, space. From space, air. From air, fire. From fire, water. From water, earth. From earth, plants. From plants, food. From food, the human being. This is not mythology. This is a structural claim. The human body is food that has organized itself. Annamaya kosha, the sheath made of anna, of food, is where most people spend most of their conscious lives. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.2 declares, Annad vai prajaha prajayante. From food only are produced all beings, whatsoever dwell upon the earth. And further, by food they live, and into food they return. The Upanishad calls food the eldest of living beings. To live identified only with the physical body, I am this flesh, this weight, this appearance, this pain, is not delusion in the crude sense. The Annamaya is real. It simply is not the whole. Inside the food body, a more subtle sheath, pranamaya, the sheath made of prana, vital breath. The word prana is often translated as breath, but the Upanishad reaches further. Prana is the animating principle, the force that holds body and mind together as a living system. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.3 declares, Prano hi bhutanam ayuhu. Breath indeed is the life of beings. The pranmaya kosha is composed of 5 distinct currents. Prana, the forward vital force. Apana, the downward eliminating force. Samana, the metabolic force at the center. Udana, the ascending force. And Vyana, the all-pervading circulation. These 5 currents are not metaphors. They describe the way life energy distributes itself through an organism. And the misidentification here is subtler than the first. Not merely I am my body, but I am my vitality, my energy states, my exhaustion, and my aliveness. Inside that, Manomaya, the sheath made of manas, of mind. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.4 tells us, the mental sheath has the vital body as its form. And then the text does something remarkable. It says, The Yajurveda forms its head, the Rigveda its right wing, the Samaveda its left wing, space is its soul, and earth is its tail and support. This is not anatomy. It is a cosmological allegory telling us that the capacity of the human mind, when fully extended, is as vast as the entire Vedic canon. The commentarial tradition is careful here. Do not read this as a literal description of mental physiology. Read it as the text saying that the Manomaya Kosha is oceanic, that mind in its full range encompasses the organizing intelligence of the cosmos. And yet even this is still a sheath. Even mind, however vast, is still concealing something deeper. Inside mind, Vijnanamaya, the sheath of discerning intelligence. If manas is the mind that receives and reacts, impression, desire, aversion, memory, then Vijnana is the faculty that deliberates, distinguishes, judges. The Upanishad characterizes Vijnanamaya through faith, justice, truth, yoga, the power to perceive and reason. This is the domain that the great 18th century jurists and the great meditators share, the capacity to weigh, to know why one thing differs from another. The Vijnanamaya Kosha is the intellect not merely as information processing, but as ethical discernment. Still a sheath, still covering something. Here is where many serious practitioners stop. The Vijnanamaya level is satisfying in a way the earlier layers are not. A person who lives primarily at this level, who reasons carefully, acts with integrity, understands cause and consequence, can easily mistake this for the destination. The Upanishad does not let that rest. Vijnanamaya is still a kosha. It is still made of something that is not the self. Think of a woman in her late 30s caring for a mother with dementia. She has learned through years of this work to quiet her reactive grief, to respond rather than flinch. She has built real wisdom about impermanence and presence. And there are moments late at night, after her mother has finally fallen asleep, when she sits at the kitchen table in a silence that is not emptiness and not grief. She cannot explain it. She is not thinking. She is not feeling blissful in any way she could describe to someone else. But she is, somehow, resting. That silence, prior to thought, prior to emotional processing, prior to the stories she tells herself about what this year has cost her, is what the Upanishad is pointing toward with its fifth layer. Anandamaya, the sheath of bliss, the innermost of the five, and the most paradoxical. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.5 and the Anuvakas that follow describe its structure. Priya, love, as the right side. Moda, joy, as the left side. Pramoda, delight, as the trunk. And Brahman is the tail, the support beneath it all. Shankara's commentary notes carefully, the Anandamaya is still a kosha. It is still a sheath. Even bliss, even the undisturbed contentment of deep sleep, is not yet Brahman, because it still has structure, still has a shape. The three aspects, Priya and Moda and Pramoda, indicate that Anandamaya has internal articulation. It is the subtlest container, but it remains a container. The three states of consciousness make this precise. In the waking state, all five sheaths are active. In the dream state, the physical body rests, but the vital, mental, and intellectual sheaths continue. In deep sleep, Sushupti, none of the first four operate, and only the Anandamaya Kosha remains, enveloping the self in undisturbed repose. And everyone, every morning, has a faint memory of that. The moment before full waking, the moment before the name and the calendar and the obligations flood back in, that interval. The Upanishad says, something was present there. You were present there. What you were resting in was not nothing. It is the Bhṛgu Vali, the third chapter, that takes this abstract architecture and gives it a face. Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1 opens, Bhṛgu Varuṇish. Bhṛgu, the son of Varuṇa, went to his father and said, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti, God-man, teach me Brahman. Varuṇa gives him neither a lecture nor a scripture. He gives him a question, that from which beings are born, by which they live, into which they enter upon departing. Know that is Brahman. Then he sends his son away to meditate. Bhṛgu meditates and returns. Food is Brahman. Varuṇa says essentially, Keep going. Bhṛgu returns with breath. Keep going. Mind, intellect. Each time the answer is real. Each time the answer is insufficient. Varuṇa's repeated instruction is tapasa Brahma vijijanasva. Know Brahman by yourself through tapas, through austerity of attention. Shankaracharya notes that Varuṇa makes no references to scripture in these exchanges. The student has to arrive by his own inquiry. There is a version of this in every close relationship, where one person is trying to hand the other person the work they need to do themselves. A father who has watched his adult son arrive at every satisfying partial answer and stop. Who sees the pattern more clearly than the son can. Who refuses to name the final answer, not out of cruelty, but out of understanding that naming it would rob the son of the very thing he needs, the discovery from the inside. The father's restraint is its own form of love, one the son will not recognize as love until much later. Bhṛgu's final realization is declared at Taittiriya Upanishad 3.6. Anando Brahma, bliss is Brahman, from bliss beings are born, by bliss they live, into bliss they return. This is the knowledge taught by Varuṇa to his son Bhṛgu, which starting from food, becomes established in the highest. The Anandavali had already said it through pure teaching. The Bhṛgu Vali says it through a son asking his father, again and again, until the question exhausts every partial answer and leaves only the thing that was always there. What to carry forward into your actual day, the Panchakosha teaching does not ask you to abandon the body or silence the mind. It asks you to notice, once, perhaps, with real patience, which layer you are currently inhabiting, and whether you have quietly mistaken it for all of you. The food body, the breath, the reactive mind, the reasoning intellect, even the gentle bliss of a moment's rest. Each is real, each is you, and none is the whole of you. Somewhere inside all of them, the Taittiriya says, there is something that does not change layers because it was never inside one to begin with. That which knows the sheaths is not itself a sheath.